Good day, and welcome to Race Stories with Billy and Sam, Australia edition. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah, that was pretty good, except for we're in the Argentina airport. So.
Good day and hola.
Buenos dias.
So yeah, we are in the middle of the crazy travel schedule. We have now been on 5 continents in 4 weeks. 4 of those continents we will race on, so it's insane. So we're trying to get our recollections as fast as we can because they're starting to overlap. So let's talk about the Australia trip.
The memory bank is full.
It is.
There's no more.
The only thing I can compare it to is baby brain. I'm missing things. I'm, just not all the way there. So, yeah.
Were you all the way there before?
I'm not all the way where I was to start with. That's
nice.
fair. So yeah, why don't we start with our flights? A tale of 2 flights. It was the front of the plane and the back of the plane.
Somebody is loved by Delta more than others.
One of us is. I want to make sure that we're very clear.
Yeah, but I mean, I redeemed my upgrade certificate or whatever for this. So the flight is forever, 15 hours.
15 hours.
From LAX to Sydney. And that doesn't include the flight from Atlanta to LA or the flight from Jacksonville to Atlanta or the flight from Sydney to Melbourne. So there were 4 different flights to be able to get to where we needed to go. But the main one was the LA to Sydney because it was 15 hours and it was overnight. I mean, it was going to mess you up as far as time. So
my son said that flying to Argentina, we weren't going very far because I only had to take 3 airplanes.
Only. I'm still not positive that I understand Delta's rules. They changed the rules to where you can only get upgraded 1 cabin on international flights, and so going from Comfort Plus to Premium Select. I mean, the Premium Select has the leg rest and the wider seats and the reclines a little bit further. But they also have the Delta One cabin, which is the lay-down flat seats. These particular planes had the suites where it had the actual door that you closed. I mean, the top of the suite is open, so as the flight attendants are walking down, they can still see in. So it's not like you're in your own little room, but you're in your own little. It was pretty sweet. So anyway,
the TVs are larger. The air, like they actually pump in more oxygen up there.
That's what it is.
It's incredible.
When we get finished with the oxygen, we send it back to y'all. It really is a very nice experience. But the lady that I spoke with from Delta, hooked me up. She was like, "Oh yeah, we can. I'm pretty sure, because I mean the flights have not been full. I'm pretty sure we can get you up into Delta One." And I was like, "Okay, well if we can do that, then let's go ahead and try it." And I did. It was a very last minute upgrade, both for the flight there and the flight back. But I did get it both ways.
Got it upgraded twice.
Yeah, I did get it upgraded, and it was very nice.
So let me tell you of my logic. Officially, Australia opened at the end of February. It was supposed to be April 1st, or whatever, beginning of April. And so the plane was empty. When we got on it, leaving LA, there were 150 open seats, and I counted just over 100 people. So there were more empty seats than there were people on the plane.
That's pretty close. Let me correct your math.
Okay.
Because I looked it up.
Oh.
143 open seats.
Yeah.
There were 306 seats on the plane. So
Okay.
it really was half.
Exactly
half.
half full. Half empty, depending on whether you're Delta or not. So I had 3 seats to myself. I was like, man, I could use that upgrade certificate, but I already have 3 seats to myself, so I can lay across.
Yeah.
I mean, the advantage was, you're laying down, and of course, the air is sweeter up there and whatever else. And really, I feel like the most crucial part of the Delta One experience is that you don't have to deal with that whatever that sandwich is in the breakfast
Yeah,
morning.
the Egg
It is
McMuffin.
terrible.
It's not an Egg McMuffin.
Oh man, that thing is awful every time.
And they keep giving it. I mean, we had it on the way here.
Yeah, we're getting ready to land in Sydney, so they're waking everybody up and giving everybody the muffin, and she asked if I want one, and I say no. Are you sure? No. Are you sure? Absolutely not. I do not want that thing.
So to contrast that, as we're leaving LA, they serve dinner and breakfast on the flight. It's a different dinner in Delta One,
Yeah.
and a different breakfast.
Yes.
But she was like, and we were leaving at whatever time it was, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. I mean, it was late. It was time to go to bed. And she was like, "What would you like for dinner?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't need dinner. I'm going to bed. I'm going straight to sleep." "Oh, okay. Would you like me to keep it warm for you?" I mean,
For the next 8 hours.
So the seats lay down flat, and it's plenty of room for you to lay down.
Yeah.
It comes with a full size pillow,
Uh-huh.
a nice thick comforter,
Like a weighted blanket.
yeah,
You have
I
a
mean, it's
weighted
almost
blanket?
like a weighted blanket. Yeah. It
I
comes
had
with
to-
with a kit, a Delta One kit that has like the eye mask and the the creams, the lotions or whatever to freshen you up. I mean, it's a pretty sweet deal.
I hate you so much.
It was a really
I had
sweet
to string 3 blankets together. I had all 3 of my pillows that I compacted into one reasonable pillow. But I mean, I did it to myself, so there's really nothing.
Yeah, that was a really nice flight experience. I don't know that I'd pay the money that you had to. I mean,
Dude, it was an $8,000 upgrade, U.S.
It was
So from what we paid for our baseline
it was a very nice
tickets.
flight. Now, I mean, the difference is Delta One was full, man. My whole cabin, there was not an empty seat.
There was just
no empty seats in my cabin, man. Crowded. It was crowded
It's
up
a little
there.
crowded at the front. Oh man.
All right, so we stories on the way. So Jack's to Atlanta. I don't remember anything. Atlanta to LA. I don't remember anything. Did we even get upgraded from Atlanta to LA?
No, did not get upgraded from Atlanta to LA.
And then
I don't think we got up.
Sydney. Okay, so we get into Sydney, and we've been having these issues with international airports. The more I fly, the more I love the Atlanta airport.
Yeah.
So the Atlanta airport is really big. It's really congested. There's a lot of people, but it's really well laid out. And the transportation between gates, I mean, the plane train, if
Yeah,
you've
so
never
if-
flown in any other airport,
you're-
you're going to not like Atlanta.
You're
But
coming in international and you're leaving domestic, and for Atlanta, that's nothing.
yeah. I mean, yeah, you hop on a train and go to the next terminal, or maybe you go 6 terminals over. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It takes you just not that long to do it. It's a really easy transition. From Sydney, from the international to domestic, because that's what we were doing. We were flying to Sydney and then from Sydney to Melbourne, so that was a domestic flight. You get on a bus. And the way that international works is you wherever
leave-
your destination is, your destination country, you go and you claim your baggage
Yeah.
because you have to go through customs or whatever, and then you recheck it, and you recheck it to go to the next to the next thing. Well, this one we did that, and then we had to get on a bus.
Yeah,
And
you
it wasn't
leave the
that-
actual airport.
I mean, you had to recheck the bags, and
Yeah.
then I mean, it was just like a regular city bus or whatever. I mean, I don't know, a regular airport bus. And you're on that for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I mean, it was not. I mean, so we had like 2 hours, 2.5 hours or whatever in between the 2 flights. I'm like, oh yeah, that's plenty of time. We'll go to the lounge, We'll,
Yeah.
So we get on the bus, and then in Atlanta, you come in international, you go through security
Yeah.
downstairs with
Yeah.
with all the other international people, so it's not too bad. And then you go to your gate or whatever. This one, you had to get back in line to recheck in to be able to get on your flight. And the issue was that this was sorry, my story's getting mixed up. This is Sydney to Melbourne, so
Yeah.
on the way back it messed
I've
up
already
even
lost
more.
interest in
Yeah.
the story.
Anyway, It's a long time.
That was a little frustrating, but we got to Melbourne, got to Sydney, and they let us in. I can't believe it.
Yeah. COVID test, whatever we needed, we had. So then we're going to the hotel.
Yeah.
Right. And the only way to get to the hotel is a taxi. Well, first of all, we had looked at renting a car, and the rental car for the 4 days. What was it?
Yes, 4 days.
$1,000 US. There's no way we can spend $1,000.
As Billy said, our taxi budget was $1,000. I was like, that's a reasonable statement.
I mean, because you could have a private driver or whatever, right? And you just rent the taxi all day.
That's
I don't
insane.
know. Anyway, it did cost us like $75 or $80 to get from the airport to the hotel. But and same way back.
Yeah.
Then we spent maybe another $100 or so. Not even probably that much on taxis.
Some of us spent more than others.
Oh, the stories get better.
We'll get into that. We'll keep going through Melbourne. So so we take the cab. And then we looked up Uber, and so Uber, because we had the bikes, so you got to get the XL, and Uber was like $150, and I was like, dude, we can't. There's no way a cab is that much. But even if it is, the cab's right here, and Uber's 30 minutes away, so.
Yeah, so they put us in what they call a maxi taxi, which was like this bus,
mini bus, really,
bus, yeah. I mean, you could handicap people could get in, whatever. It was a lot more room. I mean, you could probably get six passengers in that thing
with all of their luggage. Yeah, you could get 8 or 9 people, like no luggage.
But it was just us. So anyway.
2 of us. So he immediately hits like a $25 fee before we've left. I was like, ouch, man, this is not about to be cheap.
No. And we're only going, I mean, like 10 miles or something.
It was like 40 minutes. So
whatever it was.
It was
a long way. Yeah, it was a long way.
So yeah, we got the tour of the city. That dude was not super talkative, but we got to the hotel, and we had requested early check-in, or had we booked it for the night before?
No, neither one, I don't think.
Yeah, I had asked for early check-in.
Oh, okay.
So we were getting there around noon, right? And their normal hotel check-in's around 3, and so, hey, man, can we check in early? There's not a lot of visitors to Australia.
No, man, we're the only ones
just
there.
Open. So, no problem. Here you go. Your room is available, sir. It has been available for you for a month. It was no issue. We got a great room right by the stairs. She hooked us up.
And was the AC already set on 17?
No, but it was set pretty low.
Yeah, it was pretty chilly when we got in. It let us go down to 17, which is like, I don't know, 65.
Yeah, Billy prefers the room when you open the fridge door to warm up the room. That's actually how he warms the room, is opening the refrigerator.
Give me that. You know you like the room cold. You know you like it cold.
It's really nice going to sleep, and then we wake up, and I've got like icicles dangling from my nose.
That is true.
It gets chilly overnight.
You kind of get into a little ball, and you cover up with a cover.
You're coming into the room from the heat. You're hot. You're tired from the airport. So we're looking, and hey, there is an Australian football game tonight. We've been looking at things to do in Melbourne, and obviously we were going to go see an Australian football game.
I have no idea what Australian football is.
I don't know how this goes, but so we get in there and we decide we're going to take a nap, right? Just take a quick nap.
I mean, the game's not till like 7 or something. We got there at noon or whatever. I mean,
tons of time.
Maybe this is 2 o'clock by the time we have everything set up and ready to go. We've already done it. So we'll take 2 or 3 hours and then we'll head to the game.
Right. We woke up the next morning.
Sure did.
That's actually how that went. We woke up the next morning.
We even set alarms.
Yeah, they were slept straight through. So when you're asking
really
about
long
jet
flight.
lag, yes, it's just a pan yes.
Yeah.
So the next morning we can talk about the first day in Melbourne.
Yeah, you wake up and you're like, okay,
hungry.
well, we're not going to make it to
the football game.
So what do we want to do? So we get up and the place where we're in this little town called St. Kilda area. I don't know, neighborhood?
Yeah,
is that what you would call it?
Neighborhood of the city. So as it turns out, St. Kilda is the very nice area of Melbourne. That's where all the rich folk live.
Billy did not book the hotel.
Yeah. I take full credit for our international hotels, which are a lot better than the Motel 6 in New York.
You slept good in that Motel 6, though, didn't you?
I don't know that I slept that great. I was exhausted. I passed out in that hotel. It was a hotel when we got there. So, you know, we were walking around St. Kilda looking for breakfast. What were we doing? We were looking for breakfast first.
I don't
We
know.
walked down to the site first.
I think you just got hungry.
I was starving.
I
I
don't-
could have eaten
Is
because
it-
I didn't quite have that, 5-star breakfast with the tea. So, you know, we were
You
eating.
can get tea in, Coach.
You can. It's actually wrung out of the carpet. They hey, we spilled this in first class. You might like it.
All right. I mean, you can't get the egg. What did I have? It was like an egg casserole or something like that.
Yeah.
With sausage and a
I
bowl.
think there was a braised beef
Yeah,
in
bowl
there.
of fruit.
They
Nice
actually
warm
had a
piece of
cow
bread.
at the front of the plane just to make sure you had fresh meat.
This is really pretty sweet. Anyway, so Sam, we're walking down the street, and Sam's like, "Oh yeah, this looks like an expensive restaurant. Let's stop in here." That's not what he said.
It looked like they had breakfast. So, food costs in Australia are not the same as food costs in America.
Certainly not food costs in Argentina.
Nothing is food costs in Argentina. We're actually moving here next week. We can retire. All we have to do is stop flying, and we're good. So we go into this restaurant and order. I mean, I had like scrambled eggs, I think. Yeah, I had scrambled eggs and toast, and
I had
some
like a little
bacon.
breakfast sandwich, I think.
Bacon in Australia is ham.
Ham.
Yeah, it's like fried ham, which was delicious, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, but not bacon.
Yeah.
So they get the bill, and it's like $50. Good.
I'm like, here, Sam, you picked out the restaurant. You can pay this one.
Is that how that works? Now we know. So, food costs in Australia significantly higher. Now it's $50 Australian, which currently is $40 US. So still expensive, but I want to make sure we're clear. And that there's no tip. So
Yeah, there wasn't a tip or tax. I mean, whatever the price is, that's what you pay. And I mean, they didn't like.
yeah,
like,
taxes just included. It's baked into the
Right, but I'm just saying, whatever the price they have
Yeah.
listed,
Yeah.
you don't have the upcharge. Which I mean, in the U.S., think about it. I mean, whatever the price is listed, you're paying 25% more if you include in tax and tip. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe even more than that, 30. So that part's nice, but it was not cheap.
It was not cheap. So we go down to the race to check in, and you want to tell us those stories? that
Yeah,
story?
so we're the typical thing when we check in. First of all, they tell you that you're supposed to sign up for a check-in time, and I mean, we haven't had a single race yet where that has even mattered.
We were actually kind of worried about this one, though.
Yeah,
to be fair.
because they were.
Australia's just opening. They
Yeah.
might actually interpret
Care.
the rules as real rules.
They did not care. We were the only ones there, which was fine. I mean, it worked out. This was actually like, what, 2 days before the race?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really was 2 days before the race, which we never check in that early. We're always like, last minute people. But whatever, we asked for the race director because we want to get a picture. We need to get his email address so we can get him to sign our paperwork and all that stuff. And they were pretty excited at
What we were doing. Yeah.
we told them what we were doing, and they were like, "Oh, okay." So immediately they were taking pictures. They were putting this on their Instagram page, and the race directors, of course, in Australia, speaking Australian, which is cool to us.
Which is, it's like English with an Australian accent. But
Yeah.
he was speaking Australian.
Yeah. So that was fun. They wanted to hook us up with their media specialist
People.
or whatever. I still haven't looked. Do we ever make the Melbourne newspaper?
I don't know. That's a good question. We should
We'll
check.
have to look that up.
So, they treated us like royalty. It was ridiculous. Eric, we're on your timetable. It's like, dude, I don't think you understand. We have nothing else to do.
We're going to see a football game, and
Yeah.
we had planned to see a football game that day.
So the second day, it was another Australian football game. So as it turned out,
Different stadium, but
we were fascinated that Australian football was like every day, and some days twice a day. So what's
going on?
This? As it turns out, 100% of the Australian football games were in
Melbourne that
weekend.
So apparently there's 18 teams, and so there were 9 games, and all 9 games were in Melbourne that weekend or that week.
Yeah, so we got super lucky. So we,
which was the opening of the season, and they didn't have social distancing. So this is like Australia's opened. And so that's why everybody's excited about it.
So what did we went to? So we talked to them a little bit. We walked around the race, kind of explore.
Yeah, went and ate lunch because the game wasn't until later. It was like 5 o'clock or something like that. But then we decided, all right. So after we eat lunch, I don't even remember where we ate lunch. Do you remember?
No, I do.
Was that the burger place, Burger Love?
No, that was the first one. We got off the plane. We had the burger.
Burger Love. Anyway, wherever we ate. We decided, okay, well, we're going to explore the Australian public transportation system, and we're going to go. Because there was a train that went right to the stadium.
To the stadium.
And this was Marvel Stadium. So the other one was Melbourne Cricket Grounds, which is like a really famous older stadium. Seats like 100,000 people.
Yeah.
The Marvel Stadium is in downtown Melbourne, and it's like a brand
American
new
stadium.
Yeah. It seats like 50,000 or 50-something thousand. So we're looking online, and there's no tickets available online. I'm like, all right, whatever, we'll go to the box office. Because the day before at Melbourne Cricket Grounds, plenty of tickets. You can get whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
This one, it said sold out, but we were like, nothing's ever really sold out. We can even pick up some scalp tickets or whatever. No big deal. So we go to get on the train, and we're looking around, and we're like, how do you pay for this? There was no kiosk. There was no... nothing. How do you? And we didn't. Did we have any Australian cash at that point?
We did not know.
So I hope they take a credit card. So we're standing there, and the train's about to come up, and there's a group of guys over there talking, and pardon me, excuse me. How do you pay for this? And they're looking at me, and they're like, oh, well, you need a card. You'll be fine, mate. You'll be fine. You're going into the city. It'll be fine. Come on. I was like, they don't check? Nah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Fine. And then they showed me, and it was like this little credit card looking thing. And the way that it worked was you had the credit card thing, and you tapped. You tapped on to the plane or whatever when you got in. Well, I will tell you, we rode that train a fair number of times, and 80%, 90% of the people that got on that plane, nobody tapped in.
So downtown Melbourne is a free zone.
Yep.
Meaning that you can jump on and off the train as much as you want for no cost. If you were going to St. Kilda, if you're going out of the city, then you're supposed to pay. But there's no great way of enforcing this because we were going from St. Kilda, and it's like 5 stops, and you're in the free zone. So you had 5 stops to do whatever.
Yeah,
they've got to be losing a fortune on that thing.
Whatever, it's their public transportation system. So anyway, we go in, and we get off at the stop, which is right at the stadium.
Yeah.
And there's like restaurants and stuff over there. So the first thing that I notice is the Burger King logo, like the Whopper sandwich or whatever. Hungry Jack's. So you look inside, and they have the Whopper and whatever else, and like, this is Burger King.
Apparently, Burger King doesn't translate into Australian.
Anyway, it's Hungry Jack's, and anyway, all right, we're gonna go. We're watching this football game, so let's go to the stadium. We go to the ticket office, and there's a line. So of course you get in the line. There were like 5 windows with no line, but we're in the line.
That was because there were 5 windows with no people in them.
Were there no people when we started off?
Correct.
Okay, whatever. We're in the line, and we get to the front, and we're like, hey, how do we get tickets to this game? First of all, Ticketmaster wasn't letting us get tickets, and she was like, oh, I only sell the memberships.
Yeah.
You can get a membership, which would give me tickets for every game. It's like season tickets.
Season tickets is what she was selling.
$375. I'm like, we just want to go to this game.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I can't help you there. She was like, go to the Ticketmaster window next door. Well, by this time, the Ticketmaster windows had opened up.
Yeah.
They weren't Ticketmaster. They were regular box office. But so we go get in that line. I'm talking to that lady. And she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, we're sold out." And I'm like, "Well, how do we get tickets?" She was like, "Maybe they might open up some tickets, some general admission tickets, when closer to the game." All right, well, what time will that be? And that was like right then.
Yeah.
And
she's like 6. I'm looking at it, and it's like 6:02.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, "Well, can we put our name on a list, or can I give you a credit card? As soon as they open up, you just get us a couple tickets." She's like, "No, can't do anything else. Come back." So we went, and did we even get anything to eat?
We went to go get something to eat. The direction that we headed was away from the Hungry Jacks section of Melbourne and towards the giant yacht section of Melbourne.
There were some nice
There were
yachts.
2 very nice giant.
I mean, there were a bunch of other little boats too, but there were 2 big yachts.
So yeah, I don't know what we found, but it was the most expensive part of the city. Maybe I just
So we
haven't
didn't
noticed.
eat anything.
It was a no. Yeah.
So we come back to the stadium and it was 6:30.
Yeah.
Or you kept looking on the phone, and at 6:30 it like went dead or whatever. So whatever it was, we're like, "Oh, they must have just released tickets." And 60 seconds later, there's no tickets available.
Yeah.
So we walk up to the window and see the same lady, and she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, so sorry. There's no tickets.
No chance anymore.
No chance anymore." And so we're like, "Ah." So now we ended up
We're
going
in
to
the city, and we're hungry.
Yeah.
And we don't have tickets, so not very happy. Yeah, there were no scalpers in front of the game. Also, pro tip: don't plan on scalping tickets.
And there were a lot of police, and I think that they are very anti-scalping. I think that's what they were trying to enforce. Because I mean, there was no way to get a ticket other than
At the window.
at the window
Through official channels.
Yeah, so that was kind of strange. Because in the U.S. you can always get tickets. I mean,
Yeah.
you might have to pay more than face value, but whatever. Anyway, so we go. Do we ever find? We had to find a place to eat. What do we eat?
I do not remember. Oh yeah, we had the chicken place because I was feeling chicken of some ilk. So we passed by like 5 burger places with chicken. I was like, no, I want like a chicken place, and so we finally go to a burger place with chicken. Was actually what but a local.
It was, and so I mean that's the thing. We could have stopped it. I think they had McDonald's, Kentucky. I mean, they got every U.S. restaurant, and so I mean we try to find local places to eat at because I mean, why wouldn't you?
They may still be a chain, but at least they're an Australian chain.
Right,
really.
right.
Yeah.
If we've never heard, it may even be an American chain. But we've never heard of it before. So.
It's not in Georgia and Florida.
Yeah. So ate. And we got to eat on the street, right?
Yeah, so I feel like we should talk about Melbourne at this point because we're really starting to get a cross section, if you will.
Yeah.
So we're in this restaurant and it's got graffiti, the front of it has these stairs built into it, like it's houses,
like New York brownstones or whatever.
Yeah, but built into it so you could sit on the stairs and eat your food, but inside the restaurant. And then we were going to sit outside, and it was cold, as it turns out.
Yeah.
So we go back inside, and they were featuring classic '80s wrestling, WWF, on the TV.
We were trying to guess all the wrestlers' name from what we remember.
So, Melbourne to me is like a redneck city. Like you took all of the rural rednecks, and put them in a city together. That's kind of what it reminds me of.
I mean, not in a bad way.
And I love it, absolutely.
But they were we finally got to go to the game the next day, and they were celebrating the mullets, the haircuts or whatever.
Their mullets are in fashion in
Shaved
Australia.
on the side, long in the back, and maybe even like a little lightning bolt design on the side.
I saw a fair number of those.
Yeah, that seemed to be the hairstyle for Melbourne.
Yeah, I don't American hairstyles. It's not like hipster style where it like looks like coiffed. It's fairly rough looking, so it's just fascinating.
Listen, mind you, everyone very nice. I mean, we're not,
amazing.
and it was just the dress and the haircuts.
You had everybody, every truck that we saw was ready for the Outback.
Yeah.
Lifted, tons of snorkels. I mean, just
different.
very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and graffiti. So they have they celebrate graffiti, I think, and they have a lot of what they call street art. And some of it is legitimately street art, like, you know, people have done beautiful murals or whatever with graffiti. And then some of it is somebody came along and, you know, spray painted a name over.
Lots of tagging, that kind of thing. So it never looked awful.
No.
It was just interesting and different. Because we're coming from the last international trip is Dubai, where I'm pretty sure you would have lost a hand if you were doing that. So it's just an interesting, perspective. So we go back to the hotel, and the next day we've scheduled our presser, our media conference with the guys. So we're supposed to be there at 11.
We found a different breakfast place this time, which was half the price of the other place.
It was also not as big of a serving.
It was not, but it was fine.
That was good. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. So we go down to thing, and everybody's once again recognizes us and is super excited.
Yeah. I mean, so after we checked in, you go to the different stations, and then we go around the Ironman Village, and everywhere we went, oh, y'all are the guys that are setting the world record. To be fair, we were the only ones there, but how did, somebody must have been going around in front of us and saying, hey, these are the guys. And we're like, oh, yeah, that's us.
Yeah, we felt so amazing after that. So it really made us feel special in Melbourne. I really appreciate it.
But anyway, so we're doing our interview.
So yeah, they come find us, give us the interview. And they're all about our time. I was like, once again, we're going to go to the football game, but no.
Yeah, football game's at 2:00, man. So whatever you got before between now and then, we're good.
So he had good questions. We'll see what pops up where. Guess we could link to that at the bottom of this video. I work for Sydney, but nothing.
All right,
nothing
so we left there, and this time we're going to the football game. This time, there were plenty of tickets available.
The Melbourne cricket ground holds 100,000 people.
And we got on the correct train this time that lets you off right at the stadium. And so you get off, and all we're doing is we're following the crowd because that's where everybody's going, is to the football game. And we go, and they have like a tailgate area.
Yeah.
So similar to the U.S. where people are just out there with cars or tents or whatever set up for a tailgate. I didn't notice the food.
The tents that we saw it was different. It's not like the U.S. where you've got your cars surrounding the stadium.
These were more professional type tailgates.
Yeah, like somebody had set up these tailgates. So it's just different. So the Australians had warned us that the people, hey, we're going to the football game. It's not like American football. We don't do American football or we don't do football like America. Well, it's a religion in America, so I understand.
Yeah.
They do football like Americans. I saw no difference. The fans are all dressed out. Everybody's excited.
Yeah, everybody's wearing their team jersey. Even so the jersey would have like no sleeves, but you'd put it over your dress shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. Right when the no sleeve thing was what I really noticed, so I just assumed that was just the cheap thing, and no, it's not. That's actually what the real jersey is. So yeah, there's no sleeves on their jerseys. So we go to the line. We get to the front of the line, and it's like, hey man, we've got just get-in tickets where you can sit anywhere, or we can have a reserved seat. It's about twice as much to sit in the nosebleed.
It was exactly twice as much for general admission to a reserved seat. And I was kind of like, I want a reserved seat so we know where we're going, but apparently most of the stadium is general admission, so
I don't know.
Wherever we sat. So anyway, of course we're cheap. We got general admission.
We get the general admission tickets. Yeah, sick dude. There's no need to pay twice as much. We're going to be here for about 10 minutes and get sick of this and move on.
Yeah.
So we get the general admission tickets and we come in through the gate. We have they had hot dogs.
Yep,
got hamburgers, fish and chips, stadium food.
Stadium concessions. They had other like restaurant type stuff there too, but they had like regular concession stands.
So we were.
the hot dog was a long hot dog.
Getting the experience, really.
Yeah, man. So we grab a hot dog and a drink, and we're headed to our seats.
So he goes up. Billy's going towards like the club level. What in America we would call the club level, right? So you have the lower level, then you had the club level, then you had the upper deck.
Right.
I was like, man, we probably need to be upper deck. We don't really have seats. So he's going, and we're sitting like behind the field goal in the club seats.
It was in zone or whatever, but it was in the shade, and the shade was important.
So as it turns out, lots of people get general admission because as the sun moves through the sky, the people move through the stadium. So there was the lower level behind where the team's benches are. Was shady the whole time, and so those were all packed and probably real seats. But upper level, you could see them moving around.
Real as in reserved seats or whatever,
Sorry,
not
yes,
general
reserved.
admission.
Yes, somebody had ticket seats. So we're sitting in these seats, and I just keep waiting for
Somebody to come and tell us, "Hey, man, you can't
that's
sit
my
here."
that's my seat."
Yeah.
And then two girls come over. We're sitting there, and there's two on the end. They're like, "Hey, is anybody sitting here?" No.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I guess this is how we're doing it.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a giant circular field, and I mean probably as far as square footage, maybe 4 football fields worth of square footage.
It is a lot of greenery.
It's massive. There are 4 poles at either end that go straight up and down.
Yep.
And then you have it's a 50-meter line. Is that what that was? Like
Arc.
Imagine a giant circle, and you have like the tennis ball style, like you were staring at a tennis ball. That's what it looked like. Where the
I mean, it's kind of like the 3-point line in a basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that kind of an arc. It didn't mean anything other than it just let you know where you were on the field. You were within 50 meters.
Yeah, that's what we found out later.
Yeah.
So we're watching, and they're about to kick off. And we're like, okay. So you've got, what do we figure, 8 referees?
Yeah, there was no kicking off. It was jump ball.
So the referee's in the middle, and suddenly he throws the ball up. I have no idea what's about to happen here. So I'm starting to Google on my phone, like, what is it that I'm watching? And they're bouncing the ball on the ground, they're running around, they're kicking it around.
They're kicking at each other. And, okay, so finally, we started asking the people around us what the heck is going on.
First football game, mate.
And they were excited to be able to tell us about it. So you can Google the rules of Australian football, but these are the basics. It's similar to rugby in that there's no overhand passing. They can pitch it, or they use like a little volleyball throw where they would kind of pop it to each other,
or kick it.
And with the pitching it or the popping it, it's every man for himself. As soon as you touch the ball, the other team's trying to tackle you or get the ball away or whatever. And there doesn't seem to be any rules about that. It seems like you can do whatever. It's like a free-for-all. If you kick it and the person catches it, okay, so the person you're kicking it to or whoever catches it in the air without it hitting the ground, that person gets like a 5 or 10 yard free zone around them, so that nobody can tackle them, nobody can do anything. Then they can kick it to somebody else, or they can pitch it or throw, or they can run, and you can only run like
15 meters was what.
But you could bounce it on the ground.
Yeah, so at the end of that, you bounced it on the ground to yourself, caught it, and then kept going.
And
so
I mean, this is a football. I mean, it's not
it's
not
not
round.
a football.
It's
It's
more
like a rugby.
ball.
It's a rugby style ball.
So you have to be pretty good at. We saw them mess up a couple of times when they bounced it and it went the other way.
Yeah.
But most of the time they would bounce it and it'd come back right to them.
To score, if you kick it through the center 2 post, 6 points.
Without anybody touching it.
So it has to go from your foot through the post. I think it could bounce on the ground, we decided, and still get 6. If it goes through any of the 4 posts any other way, you get 1 point. So if I kick it and somebody hits it, then it's 1 point.
Doesn't matter which one it goes through.
Yeah. So
Or if you kick it without being touched or whatever through the other 2 posts, it's 1 point. And it seemed to be pretty disappointing when they got 1 point.
They were very upset. So there were 18 players, and there's 14 on each side per game.
Playing at the same time.
So these guys were in phenomenal shape because this thing is massive, and they're out running around in the sun.
No pads.
No pads.
No helmet.
Nothing.
And I mean, it's a combination of soccer in that you need the cardio to be able to run around all the time, and football in that they're just killing each other.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, like rugby style,
Yeah.
killing each other. And you had to have the strength. And then, I mean, you had to be able to have a pretty good foot. I mean, those guys were kicking the ball from 50 meters away through the post. I mean, it was like
impressive.
it was like a punt. So this is why U.S. football gets all of the Australian punters
Because
because all of these guys can kick the ball.
Yeah, no question. It was fascinating. So the ball, if the ball goes out of bounds, then the referee throws it back in. Doesn't matter who gets it out. Yeah,
jump ball.
It's a jump ball back in. Yeah. It was a fascinating sport. If you get the chance, I'd highly recommend it. It was very entertaining. It's not like football where you have your reset and everybody gets back up at the line. Like it's going. It's a lot like soccer in that it's going and you've got whatever your stoppage time is, and then
4 periods,
crazy.
and it's really high scoring. You would expect one team to score 80 to 100 points. I mean, maybe both. But
no, like 100 points per game is normal.
Okay.
Yes. What we saw
was 60 points in the first period.
Yeah, was an absolute blowout. So apparently, the other team was very upset. So the people we were sitting with were fans of the
Geelong or
Geelong, as it turns out. We've been pronouncing it wrong. Cats, and they were just destroying the other team. So we had a great time. We didn't stay for the whole game. It was the sun was coming in. We were starting to get hot. So we're standing up behind the section is the boxes is what I call it, like suites.
Sky suites.
And so they've got right below that is a concrete thing with ads on it. And so we're both standing back there in the shade, and I'm watching the whoever usher go around and kick people out. Hey Billy, hey Billy, hey Billy, hey Billy. Billy's talking to somebody. It's like, all right, man, whatever. So I'm going back down, and Billy goes back and stands in front of it, and the guy's like, hey, man, I'd be doing the exact same thing. I get that it's hot, but we have to be able to see, the sponsors want to see their signs.
Which was a wonderful way of kicking people out of that area.
Right?
I mean,
Thank you. It gave, here's the reason for it. You don't even have to agree with the reason, but at least you understand that there is one, and it's not just me being a jerk. No. It's because I was assuming it was the suites didn't want to see the top of our heads. I knew there was no standing. I just assumed it was the rich people, and no, it's the sponsors. So good to know. So then, we had pizza for dinner. Come back
we
from that
left.
for pizza?
Yeah, and we're looking at the pizza place. This is Saturday night, and on Sundays they have it's pizza bar or whatever. It's like a pizza buffet. I don't even know. It was all you can eat pizza.
Yeah.
On Sunday from noon to whatever.
And drink all you could eat, and then like bottomless,
beers or whatever.
I'm sure well drinks, but no, cheap liquor.
Whatever it was, I was like, hey man, Ironman's tomorrow. You might not want to have this. You might want to be prepared because some Ironman people can put down some pizza. So I don't know. We didn't go back there the next day, but it had potential for it to be pretty bad for him.
Well, it's interesting. He was excited to see us, though. He was interested that there were Americans there.
Everybody was. I mean, they haven't even been able to travel within the country. Like you couldn't go from Sydney to Melbourne a couple of months ago.
Yeah, so I feel like we should talk about what the rules we learned while we were there, what we saw of the COVID. You had cab check-ins literally anywhere you went outside of your house. You had to check in with your phone, and people were still doing it at the stadium. Not everybody was doing it, but they did have the signs out.
And the grocery store had the same thing, but it said that you don't have to do that anymore. But mind you, they've been doing this for 2 years. 2 years they've had to check in everywhere they went.
Somebody we talked to said the grocery store, you had certain days you were allowed to go to the grocery store. People did not leave their houses. That's a wholly different COVID experience than we were privy to in the States. So it was very interesting.
It probably helped. I mean, when you check in everywhere and you come down with COVID, they can then tell everyone who was around you who had it. So it's probably a pretty good system. I mean, I guess it worked for them because they never had huge outbreaks in Australia, did they? Okay, like everywhere else. Anyway, so now all of that seems to be over. They seem to be over the whole mask deal.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't wearing masks. You were still required to wear masks on the plane and supposed to on the train, but not everybody was. Restaurants, nobody was wearing masks. Even maybe the servers. Anyway, I think they were COVID fatigued for sure.
Yeah.
And excited to be able to have travelers and to be able to go places.
Oh, so we go to the race the next day and see the race review for those stories. Do you have any special non-race review stories?
Nah. Nah, they were pretty excited for us after the race. They were doing photos and videos and stuff like that too. So I mean, we got a lot of coverage.
We were
Yeah.
really treated like royalty. It was super cool. In no way did we deserve any of that. So yeah, that was a blast. Yeah, super big thank you to the Oceania Ironman team.
Yeah.
was amazing. They're excited. TWAPO 2024.
Not doing the World Championships there.
Yeah, so that would be cool if we could get a spot. I'd love to be able to go.
What time is it in 2024?
I don't know. I was
okay.
just
just checking.
This is a good break. It gives my mind a time to reset and think about numbers. I see numbers on the watch. Yeah, probably probably go off around seven local time.
Let's see, TWAPO. I don't know what time. Yeah, 2024.
Yeah.
It's right there on my watch.
I've just got a countdown timer going. That's actually, I don't keep time on my watch. It's just TWAPO's coming up. Better hurry up, qualify.
All right. So anyway, we leave the race. We have an early morning flight the next day to get from Melbourne to Sydney. We do anything? Go home? Go back to the hotel? Take a shower?
You didn't do anything. So.
Oh, somebody needs a COVID test. All right. So this is the deal. To get back into the United States, you have to have a COVID test, and you have to have the COVID test within 24 hours. This is the dumbest rule ever. Thank you, United States, because we're leaving at 7 a.m. on Monday. So you have to have a test between 7 a.m. Sunday and 7 a.m. Monday. I mean, nothing's open on Sunday.
Also, we're doing a race.
Yeah.
Kind of half of my day is taken up with the race. I'm doing a race. So, you have 24 hours, and the U.S. does not care what kind of. So this is a new rule for maybe a month or so. It's really annoying, and I really hate it. So, President Biden, I'm sure you're watching our videos. If you could just help fix that situation.
I have been fortunate enough to have tested positive for COVID back in January and have a recovery letter. So, you can either have a COVID test, or you could have this nice, positive plus a negative plus a letter from a doctor saying that you've recovered. So mine's good for 90 days. I don't have to do any of that crap.
Yes. So I did. So the downside of Australia just being open to visitors is they hadn't quite figured out that we need to leave the country yet. So yeah, it was not the lots of places we've been are set up. They got the testing down. They're on every street corner, and because they're making money.
I mean, in Europe, in Panama, everywhere we've been, they've had it.
They were set up for it. Not Australia.
Nope.
So there is Sunday only one testing center that's actually open. There's lots of private testing centers Monday through Friday that will do quick COVID tests for you. One of them that I found was like $350. So that was not going to happen.
So this is in Melbourne. What we learned from people who were in Sydney is that there's a lot of places in Sydney, but we had to have this test in Melbourne
because we got to go. So I've got to take the test at the airport. So I've got to go to the airport and then come home and sleep for a few hours and then go back to the airport. But I can't. The testing center opened at 6 a.m. and then the flight takes off at 7 a.m. So that was clearly not going to work because the testing center is outside of check-in. So whatever. Go to the airport. Okay. Now, pause this for a minute. I have a map. So I have the Melbourne tram guide. And I want to point out on the old Melbourne tram guide, if you're looking in the top corner, you will see Airport West. There's no real street names on this thing. It's not super helpful, but generally in American, airport means place where planes fly, and west means place where the airport is. So, I get on the tram. I go to downtown.
So, mind you, remember it was a $75 cab ride to our hotel. So Sam didn't want to spend $150 to go back and forth to the airport. I get that. I understand.
And I was like, we could save the $75 cab ride tomorrow if we can get the tram to work out. So I will explore. So 3 hours later, because the tram, I had to change trams, and the tram stops every 20 feet. I finally arrive at Airport West, at the Mecca and Panacea that it is supposed to be. It is in the middle of nowhere. Is it near the airport? No. Can you see airplanes landing? Yes. It was going to be another hour and a half walkabout, because we were in Australia, to get to the place.
Did you Google it or whatever to see if it was going to be? It was an hour and a half to walk to.
I had my phone off. I was like, I don't want to pay the $10 to activate it for the day. So the phone's off. I'm out in the middle of nowhere, and it's 3 hours later. Mind you, I don't actually know when the plane closes because it says we're open until 30 minutes after the last plane lands. Well, when does the last plane land in Melbourne? So,
are you still upset about it?
We're in Argentina a week later.
Right, so just a few days later, as a matter of fact, but whatever.
I'm still infuriated. So, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. Literally.
I'm back at the hotel taking apart bikes and relaxing and watching TV. I have no idea any of this is going on.
Because I can't call because my phone's not on. I have no idea what to do. There's like a Kmart, which I didn't know was still open anywhere. Apparently, it might actually have been closed. I just saw the sign. So I find a bus. Okay. So I finally found the bus stop where they drop us off in the middle of nowhere. Okay, you got to take a bus to the airport. So I go to the bus stop, and I'm talking to the guy, and he's like, yeah, you got to take this bus. Okay, they've got an electronic billboard. They have the next hour's worth of bus lines that are coming. None of them are headed to the airport. Apparently, Melbourne people don't go to the airport.
Not on public transportation anyway.
Yes, obviously. So now I've got to get a cab. Okay, so I now activate the phone, download the app. That doesn't work. I call the number. That doesn't work because I have an American phone and their cab number is like 5 digits. So it's not set up for... Okay, so I'm stuck out in the middle of nowhere. It's an hour and a half back to the city where at least I know there's a cab. And then I don't know what to do. So I find there's a carnival in this hotel parking lot. Like, well, maybe the hotel can call me a cab. Let me go try that. It's some kind of casino thing. Casino hotel. It looked shady. They rented out half their parking lot for a carnival. So, yeah, that's the kind of location I was dropped off in, apparently. So I go in there. And some dude's just standing at the counter waiting, and he's like, "You need anything, mate?" I said, "Yeah, I was just gonna have her call me a cab." He's like, "Oh, I'll find the lady. She'll push a button for you." They have a cab button in Australia. They just push the button. Pushes the button. The cab arrives 3 minutes later. So meanwhile, I have purchased a train ticket because I've been on this thing all day, and the first announcement when I get on is, "Oh, we're gonna be checking tickets today." So I'm already having.
Did they ever check your ticket?
Not once. No. So if anybody needs a Melbourne train card, I can hook you up.
Yeah.
So the cab's like $20 or something. And for an hour and a half walk, the $20 was well worth it. But I bought a ticket. I lost 3.5 hours getting to the airport, and then go in, test. All of that is fine. And the lady's like, do you need the certified copy? I was like, I don't think so. How long does it take? 45 minutes. I'm not hanging out here for 45 minutes. I'm just shot. I walk out, I go get a cab. I'm taking a cab all the way back to St. Kilda.
So in the meantime, I'm sitting in the nice, air-conditioned, freezing, which was wonderful, hotel room, taking the bikes apart, watching TV, and he texts me and he's like, haven't even got to the airport yet. I'm like, what in the world is he doing? And then, did you ever text me saying that you had gotten there? You might have.
Yeah.
Then, like, you know, after that, so I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be dark when he gets back. And, like, 20 minutes later, he comes in the door, and I'm like, where'd you come from? He's like, oh, I took a cab.
It didn't matter what that cab cost. So what was fascinating, right? The other dude charged us the $25 fee up front. This guy I never saw him put in the $25 fee. But it was like $10 cheaper for the regular cab from the airport than it was for the maxi cab.
But what we did learn out of that was, hey, we want a cab from, and then we had to leave at, our flight left at 7, so whatever time we left the hotel was early, 4:30, 5, whatever time it was. We needed to call a cab because the public transportation was not going to work out.
It was not happening. So they have a bus, as it turns out. Go to the city center.
Get on the Sky Bus.
And they have a bus to the airport. So there is a plan, and it can work.
It was like $25 for the bus, and I mean $25 per person. That's 50. I mean, you may as well spend the extra $25 and take a cab.
Yeah, the cab, and that part is true, because you should also pay for the train too, which was $10 by the time you did it all.
Yeah.
So that's really the lesson here. Do not take the dang tram.
It worked out fine for going to the football games.
It was perfect for going to the football games.
Just don't try to take it to the airport.
Yeah, so if you're going like to the city or back to where you came from, you're in the sweet spot.
All right, so the next morning, I don't any other stories. I mean,
no, I think did we get something to eat?
We did, because you came home and you were like, or came back to the hotel and you were like, let's go get something to eat. I'm like, man, it's kind of late. Are you sure you want? Yes, I'm hungry. Somebody was still angry,
starving.
So we go get something to eat, and then because ramen, we had the ramen place.
Yeah.
Went to.
Did that? So you
never had to pay for that. I got some. So what I got, I thought was Mel's, MELLS, Mel's ramen or something like that. Turns out that the M was actually an H, and it was Hell's ramen. And it was super spicy. I mean, like it comes out and it's red. And
I tried a spoonful, man. It was it had some afterkick to it.
And so I'm eating it, and I'm like, ooh, we're on a 30-hour flight tomorrow. This is not going to be good. I never ended up having to pay for that, so that was good. Anyway, so we get on had dinner, sleep, get up really early the next morning.
Yeah.
The cab worked out. That the person at the hotel called us a maxi cab, which was the big one.
He goes, man, this is gonna be like $75-$80.
We know.
Yeah, no problem, no issue.
Had to get to the airport. No issues with check-in, other than I'm looking at my phone, and so this was the deal. We flew out of Jackson, so it was a round trip. You go Jackson to Atlanta, Atlanta to LAX, LAX to Sydney, Sydney to Melbourne, and back to Jackson. That ticket, for me, was more than $1,000 cheaper than it was to fly Atlanta to LAX, LAX to Sydney, Sydney to Melbourne. So mind you, all three of those flights, the exact same flights.
Yeah.
Adding the Jax to Atlanta saved me $1,000. Yeah. And I don't understand it. So I went ahead and booked that, and then in the meantime, I tried to cancel that leg, Jax to Atlanta, and every time I called, or every time I tried to do it on the phone, it wouldn't let me do it, and then every time I called to try to do it, they were like, yeah, you can't do that, they're repricing the ticket, it's going to be more, something.
Yeah, this is going to be $1,000 more.
I'm like, that is so stupid. I'm adding 2 flights. So anyway, what I did was I booked we were already down in Miami, so staying in Jax was not that big of a deal, but I had booked a one-way ticket from Jax to Atlanta. So I was flying from Australia all the way to back to Jacksonville, and then getting on another plane in Jacksonville and flying back to Atlanta so that Charlotte could pick me up and I could go home. So I'm looking at it, and somehow the Jax leg had gotten disconnected from the rest of the ticket. So the way that it worked was it looked like I was going to end in Atlanta, and then I had a flight from Atlanta to Jacksonville and Jackson to Atlanta. So I'm like, we can cancel that. I was like, but I'm not going to do it right now. I want to make sure my bags, because you can just not take that last leg, but if you checked your bags, they're going all the way to your final destination. So I wanted to make sure that my checked bags were going to end in Atlanta. So we go check in, and we're checking in with Virgin Australia because it was a Virgin flight to Sydney, and then it was Delta the rest of the way. And sure enough, when she checks me in on my bags, the final destination was Atlanta. Yes. So we get through security, we go in, and I call. By this time, we were in the lounge, and I was trying to cancel stuff on my phone. It wouldn't let me cancel, so I called the customer service to get them to cancel. So I'm calling him, and he's like, it's trying to reprice the tickets. I mean, because the segment's already disconnected. I don't know, but whatever. He was having trouble doing it. And so I'm on hold forever, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, for a long time. I mean, they're boarding the plane. Sam's already on the plane, and they're calling final boarding call. I'm still on hold, and so I walk out with my phone on, and as I'm getting on the plane, they're like, oh, you got to hang up the phone. So I just hung up. Turns out that he had canceled the flight from Jacksonville to Atlanta because I booked it separately, so it was pretty easy to separate that. But was never able to cancel the Jax to Atlanta. I mean the Atlanta Jax. So whatever. We get on the plane to Melbourne. I know my bags are tagged to Atlanta. We'll deal with that when we get to LA because we got to recheck your bags anyway.
All right. So we're in Sydney, or we found out in Melbourne, right?
Yeah.
That the Sydney to, there's only one Sydney to LA flight per day, and the one for Sunday had gotten canceled.
The way we found that out was because Charlotte was trying to track us and see if the plane was on time or whatever, and she was looking, and the days are different. So she was looking for tomorrow's flight, which tomorrow for her was Sunday, not Monday. We were on the Monday flight. She was looking at tomorrow and it said canceled. And she was like, oh, no, their flight's been canceled. So she's calling us, trying to figure it out.
So the real point of that was suddenly there's a lot more people, right? That whole flight then got put onto ours, and there were plenty of extra seats.
Oh, yeah. Since it was half full.
Yeah. They had space. Except I had a row of 3 to myself on the way home. That was why I didn't get the pods. And we're looking, and it's me and a buddy. I have friends. I was like, oh man, I lost my seat. So the whole time I'm regretting not having used my upgrade certificate.
But the whole time I was regretting it too, because all of the first class people from the other flight had been put on this flight.
Yeah,
and so
the people who paid the $8,000
right,
were going to
so
get
it
their
gets
seat.
dwindling, and there was one left, and I'm like, I ain't getting that. So I thought that I was just going to be in the back of the plane too. So we get to Sydney, and this was the whole going from the domestic to the international. Stupid, because you have to get on a bus and all of that, and we had to recheck in, and we get to the recheck-in line, and mind you, the plane from yesterday had been canceled, or the day before had been canceled, so there were a lot more people in line, and they weren't prepared for that because they were prepared for the regular number of people. So we're in the Sky Priority line, and there are 4 people checking us in, and then in the main cabin line, or regular line, there were 2 people checking them in.
Yeah.
And the main cabin line was like 3 times as long as the Sky Priority line. So it actually, I mean, it took longer than what we're used to for checking in, but it wasn't awful checking in. And so we check in, and sure enough, I'm still in the back of the bus. And I'm like, whatever. So, but it's taken us a fair amount of time to do all this, and so we don't even have time to go to the lounge. And so she tells us the way the international terminal set up is it's a wagon wheel with spokes, and it has 3 spokes. So if you can imagine a circle with all the shops and everything, and then a spoke that goes off this way, and the lounge is over here, and then a spoke that goes off this way, and our flight is over here at the end. So it's a pretty good ways from the lounge to the flight.
From our flight, we could see the lounge.
Right. But she said allow 15 minutes to be able to walk from the lounge. So we're like, all right, we're not making the lounge. So we go to our gate. We get to our gate, and there's this long line of people checking in through this security. So we've already been through security, but this was an additional security check, whatever. Long line, and then we get a text that says our flight's been delayed 45 minutes. We're like, let's go to the lounge. Yeah, we'll let this line clear out and go get breakfast. So we go to the lounge and get some breakfast, and while we're at breakfast, we get a text saying that the flight's no longer delayed.
Yeah.
What in the world? And so we're hustling. We finish our breakfast, hustle back to the gate, and not a long line anymore because everybody already gone through it.
Yep.
And they're checking stuff, and we always joke with each other going through security. So they're looking at Sam, and I'm like, oh yeah, be sure and check him extra good, or because we've already been through security. There's nothing. We don't have anything. We all we have is our backpacks.
Yeah,
there's
no way
nothing.
we get in trouble.
And so I hand mine to my guy, and he's looking at me, and he was like, "Is he traveling with you?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, that's my brother." I was like, "But we're not actually on the same booking or whatever." And so he goes and he gets Sam's passport.
Yeah. And
he's comparing the passports, and he's comparing them to the list. So I look on the list. Well, my name's on the list.
His name's on the list.
My name's on the list, but Sam's not. He's looking at Sam.
Yeah.
Okay, you can go. You have extra security.
I don't know. He just points to you. You need to get escorted. I was like, I don't know what this is, but I'm going. I hope he makes this flight.
Sam left. He left me. Not only did he leave, he left and got on the plane. Dude. They had already boarded all of the cabins or whatever, and we're like the last people coming up. And he's gone. I don't even see him. I'm like, what in the world?
If it makes you feel any better, I didn't know where you were sitting, so I was just hoping the whole time on the way to LA that you were on the plane. I wasn't 100% sure.
I know. So I have to wait. There's actually a line for the extra security. So supposedly it was a random security search. Whatever. I don't have anything, so it wasn't a big deal.
I go to check in at the gate, the final check. And she's over there whispering to somebody else. It's got the same surname. I was like, dude, I don't know what Billy did in Australia, but they're really upset.
So all it was, so I have to stand in line. And it takes me a few minutes to do it. But all it was they were just, checking for bomb stuff or whatever, because they did the wiping over. They had to open up the computer. They wiped over. They didn't check to see if anything worked. They were just wiping stuff. They just wiped several things inside my bag and then put it in the little doop-de-doop thing or whatever. But while I'm standing there, guy comes back, William Crozier, and I was like, yes sir, that's me. And he was like, you've been upgraded. and shows me you are now in 8 Charlie or 7 Charlie or something like that. I was like, oh yes, because I need a single digit number. I'm in one of the suites. I'm like, y'all can search whatever, man. I'll take off clothes, shoes, it doesn't matter. Now that I know that I'm in the suite for 16 hours. And so I finally get through all of that, and I go through it, and they keep saying my name up at the front. William Crozier, has William Crozier come on yet, or something like that? And finally, and the lady says, "Oh, here he is, right here." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I had to do the extra security thing." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And they were really excited that they were able to. I must have been the very last person to get that upgrade.
Oh wow!
Because they were really excited that they gave it to me. And
wow.
And so I'm talking to them like, "Oh, thank you so much. I didn't think I was ever going to be able to get this because the plane got canceled, yesterday." And I asked him what the deal was, why the flight had gotten canceled, and she was like, "Oh, it was mechanical." She was like, "The part came in on our plane."
On our plane.
So the plane had flown in overnight and or whatever, and it came in, and they were having to fix the other plane with whatever part that came on our plane. I was like, "Oh, I thought that they had canceled it because there weren't enough people on it." And she was like, "No, they haven't been canceling flights because not enough people." So I don't know what they're going to do with that plane, but. Well, once it's big.
Sweet, man. Just an empty plane. Yeah, just you, 2 people on the plane.
Yeah.
How do we make that happen? Delta, we will volunteer to
fly from Australia
back. That's fine.
So anyway, I get on the plane. Sam never checked on me. Not once ever. Now, mind you, I didn't text him either and say, "Hey, man, I made it on the plane," because I really didn't want him to know that I was flying in the suite the whole way back.
Again, in the suite again. Might have just evicted. I was actually starting a revolution in the back of the plane. We were going to come.
So, again, it was a 16-hour flight, but on the way there, man, I slept like a baby because we had started at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. whatever time it was. It was nighttime. This one we were starting at whatever time it was, 9 o'clock, I think, because it was like 7. Whatever time it was during the day, and I never got as good a sleep on that one.
No, it was harder. So I know that I've got a buddy, and so I assume that you've got to use the Southwest mean mugging rules just in case he shows up. Maybe he'll go somewhere else. It doesn't work that way, but in my head. So everybody starts walking by, like, no, not you, not you, not you, not you. And then there fewer and fewer people are coming by. Not you, don't do it. I was like, we went to the lounge. Maybe this, whoever this did is too. And then they closed the door. I was like, oh, yeah.
By yourself, you had the 3 to yourself.
I had my 3 to myself again, except this time I was on the window. First time I was on the aisle, this time I'm on the window. And I think I like the aisle better if you have 3 to yourself. If this is an option for you, I think afforded just a little bit of extra. 4 is enough to stretch all the way out. 3, you kind of got to bend your legs, and then the window feels like it comes in a little more on that.
So are you talking about the you're on the window side as opposed to the middle?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
This was
aisle on either side.
Was this a 3-3-3 or was it a 3-4-3?
3-3-3.
Okay, so 3-3-3, and on the way over you had the 3 middle.
Yes.
And then on the way back you had the 3
on
aisle.
the window. Yeah.
I mean, on the window. Yeah. Okay. So not as much room to stretch out.
Not as much room to stretch out, but. So of course, we flew regular on the way to Sydney, and then got upgraded to Comfort Plus for Sydney to LA, and that flight was late coming in, and that was not going to be great. But I'm looking at my phone, and gate 134 is the gate we're coming into. Gate 134 is the gate that we're leaving from.
It was the exact same plane.
It was the same plane.
The problem is when you come into the U.S., you have to go. They unload the bags. You got to go find. You got to go through customs or whatever, get your bags, recheck them, and then get back on. So this, even though we were on the exact same plane, you had to do the whole. It didn't matter. You had to do the whole thing again. But you got upgraded on those.
So yeah, that one I was still in Comfort Plus, but since it was that plane, it was the whatever
Premium Select.
So
you had the little footrest that came out.
Yeah, that was really nice. Because
I did not get up.
That was a very full plane.
Yeah, it was full, and I did not get upgraded. I'm back there in the back.
So
You're welcome. You got the better seat on the way from LA to Atlanta.
Yeah, it's a solid. It's great for the 9-hour flight versus the 14.
So, mind you, my flight from Jacksonville to Atlanta has already been canceled. So I'm kind of nervous about that because I don't want to get stuck in Jacksonville or have to pay some premium price to get back to Atlanta. But we get to LA, and the way that you recheck your bags in LA is you just put them on the conveyor belt yourself.
Yeah.
You're not with anybody else. And so I'm looking at my bags, and they're still tagged to Atlanta. So I'm like, all right, we're going to go that way. That's the deal. And so that's what we did. I ended up getting off at Atlanta, and it was fine. Never got on the plane from Atlanta to Jacksonville, which it didn't matter because it was late, and so we missed that flight. You ended up having to go on another flight.
So we're wrapping up that story quickly. From the time that I'm close to the door. From the time that I had to the time that technically the plane was supposed to depart for Jacksonville, it was 9 minutes. I was like, dude.
Mind you, the boarding door closes 15 minutes before the takeoff time.
I can make this. I mean, because it doesn't always close 15 minutes. Sometimes you got some time.
And everything had been delayed. I mean, we had been delayed leaving Sydney. We had been delayed leaving LA. So it's quite possible that they would be delayed.
Everything was. So it had to be worth the shot. So I get off of the plane and I'm sprinting through the airport. Not the usual runners. Dude, I'm going as fast as I can. I get to the train just in time. The doors are opening. I was like, okay, because we got to go from T to A, I think. And so we're getting off of the airplane, and I could see the gate that I needed to go to. And it was 18, so it's really close. I made it with 4 minutes to spare from the takeoff time.
That's
the
pretty good.
jet bridge was still at the plane. The door to the plane was very closed, and the gate agent was nowhere to be seen.
No.
So I'm the sweat actually finally caught back up with me as I'm getting there, and so I'm profusely now sweating. I have broken my backpack. So
oh no!
I got a brand new Ironman bag for this trip because I have so much crap. So this was the first time the bag had been used, and this entire piece, the bottom part of the strap, rips itself away from the backpack.
What that's telling you is that there's too much weight in your carry-on bag.
I want to say that not a properly assembled bag. So
No.
to Ironman from me, you guys owe me a bag. So I left the price tag on this one.
So that you can take it back
so
if
that,
it breaks.
Yeah, when it breaks, running through an airport, that I'm going to call Ironman up and say, dude. So, but got rescheduled for a later flight. Hopped on it, no issues.
I mean, your bags were never making it on that first plane.
But that part was going to be okay because then they deliver it to the house. That's I love that. So,
I mean, it worked out for me. I got to get off in Atlanta and didn't have to pay the extra money. Got refunded for my flight from Jack's back to Atlanta. Didn't get any money from the flight from Atlanta to Jack's, but whatever. That didn't bother me because I was going to pay $1,000. It saved me $1,000 to book it the other way. So that worked out.
very cool. So, stay tuned next time for Argentinian stories in some other country. All right, thanks so much for watching, guys. Yeah,
Have a good one.
We'll be back.